Hi, everybody. Happy fall. I hope you are enjoying the beautiful weather that we're having. The cooler temps have definitely got me a little happier. Anyway, we are starting week 6. Ah, oh my gosh, we are more than a third of the way through now. So let me open the module and walk you through what's expected for the week. So we have our learning outcomes. I've learned now not to open the overview page since there's really nothing there for you to see while I'm recording my videos. So the goals this week are, of course, to be watching this video, complete the reading assignments, take notes for your own purposes. There are no annotations that are due this week, but it's a good habit to be taking notes on the things that you're reading. It's been proven that when we write down certain things, we go through the act of writing down, it helps to cement things in our brains. So it's always a good idea to take notes on your reading. Of course, you're going to proceed through the module sequentially. And then I have a few activities for you to do. There is a credible sources quiz. There's some library database work to do, and then the culminating assignment of locating 5 sources and completing the source evaluation worksheet. The objectives are to define criteria that, or identify criteria that define credible sources, make use of the library database, and I'll show you how to do that. Select and balance a variety of sources that relate to your argument. So I know you're still kind of in the planning stages, but this is a way for you to really start to hone in on what it is that you want to argue. And remember that at least 2 of your sources need to be academic scholarly journals. And so that's why we're using the library database and not just Googling everything. You will also learn how to evaluate sources from a variety of print media and determine whether a source is scholarly or popular. So let's take a look at the assignments. You'll be reading in the Writer's Loop chapters 8.2, 9.1, and 9.2. But as I said before, there are no annotations. I'm actually going to pull up my copy of, I have a new copy, my copy of the Writer's Loop, and we'll take a look at 8.2, which is finding and evaluating credible sources. So if you scroll through this, they address using Google or Wikipedia, which can be a good jumping off point, but that is not the sole source of your information. It covers library resources, so please pay attention to that. And then there's this section, which is kind of fun. They have this fun name for the test that you use to make sure that your sources are actually credible and not just some random stuff that you pulled off the internet. So this is called the CRAP test, and CRAP stands for currency, reliability, authority, and purpose or point of view. Sometimes you'll see this in other sources with a double A, C-R-A-A-P. It's still the CRAP test. So this is a way for you to gauge whether your source is credible and reliable. And you look at this criteria, and that will help you to determine whether or not a source might be useful for you. The reflect section, which you can look at if you want to, and then understanding. We will be doing an activity related to this. That is the source evaluation worksheet, which is actually taken directly from this book. So moving on to chapters 9.1 and 9.2, we'll just take a brief look at those. 9.1 is using critical reading skills to take notes. Again, this is a little bit of a review. I think I had you read some stuff on annotation at the beginning of the semester, and now we're kind of revisiting this just to solidify what you should record in your notes and how to go about taking notes and annotating your sources. And this will be also in preparation for next week's assignment, which is an annotated bibliography. It's a big deal. I think that's next week anyway. Yes, so good to pay attention to this. And let me just keep scrolling through to 9.2. 9.2 is dealing with summarizing your sources to use in your writing, and dealing with plagiarism. So it's very, 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 I can't even say how very important it is to be aware of what plagiarism consists of. Plagiarism is, in essence, theft, right? It's intellectual theft. It is using somebody else's words and ideas and presenting them as your own. So we go through this whole thing of you have to learn how to properly give proper attribution to your sources and to cite your sources and to do that correctly, so that you're not guilty of plagiarism, because that's a huge deal. The repercussions for plagiarism might be you fail the assignment. It could be that you fail the course, or it could be that you are no longer welcome at your institution of higher learning. So it's super important to realize when you might be potentially plagiarizing. So this is a significant chapter section for you to read. And it also covers the basics of MLA and APA citation styles. In this course, in all English courses, you will be required to use MLA. The APA stands for American Psychological Association, and that is the other citation method that you will probably be called upon to use. So if you're going to if you take a history course and you have to write an essay for your history course, chances are pretty good that you're going to be asked to cite an APA. There are other citation, what do we call them? Citation styles out there. There's Chicago, there's Harvard. I mean, there's a whole, just tons of them. And they're all for different types of writing. Some are more for health and sciences, some for medicine, others, what have you. So these are the two most popular, and that's why you're learning about them in this book. So just familiarize yourself with these and how to cite things properly. I don't expect you to have it perfect. I will help you to understand, and I will actually point you to a tool that is super, super helpful. But anyway, these are the readings from the Writer's Loop. We go back to our assignments overview. We have a handout called Reading Scholarly Articles, and then Know Your Sources. And once again, the assignments for the week are the Credible Sources quiz, which is due on Wednesday, the 29th. And then I'm requiring you to watch the embedded library guide, Evaluating Sources for Credibility, again, because it's going to help you with locating your 5 sources and filling out that source evaluation worksheet. So let me go back to the module. We've covered the readings. I do want to click on this and show it to you. Know your sources. So this is actually an infographic. It's not super in-depth reading, but it just kind of highlights the differences between the different types of things, different types of print media that you'll come across in your research. And lots of resources at the bottom, which I found kind of cool. And then this PDF, it's essentially, you don't have to read the text itself, you're just reading these big arrows. But this is essentially tips to read your way through a scholarly journal article. These scholarly journal articles can be very dense, often they're very long. And when you have an assignment like a source evaluation or an annotated bibliography, you don't have time to read 100 pages of text. You have this class, you have other classes, That's just a lot of information to try to sift through. So knowing how to look through a scholarly journal article to see if it's an appropriate source for you is really a handy skill to have. And this is something you will use for the rest of your years in college. So of course, you're going to look for the title of the article and the author, and it's usually like this. Most scholarly journal articles have abstracts, and then you'll see here there's like some citation information. This DOI is a specialized number that is a designated place where this file will always be found, the electronic file. So the DOI is a very important number to be aware of. We all know that websites change, and if you put the URL in your citation, it could be 3 or 4 years down the road, that URL is no longer relevant because, you know, the nature of websites and web hosting and all that. However, this DOI, if you plug that in, it will always take you to where this document is housed. So that's a significant thing to know. They will often have headings in these journal articles, problem, or it might be an introduction, which will give background information. There will also often be information about the authors down at the bottom of the first page of the article. Once again, method, data, discussion of the problem or discussion of the experiment, and then the conclusion. So this is just a chopped up pulling sections from different parts of a much longer academic source. And then you have references at the end. Sometimes it's a works cited or sometimes it's a bibliography. It really depends on the citation method that the person is using, that the writer is using. But these are often, if you look at the references, this can often be helpful for you to locate related sources for your topic. So the references section is a really good resource to look at. So those are the two articles. Again, hopefully it's not too much additional information for you to absorb for the week. And then we go to the various learning activities and assessments. So we have the credible sources quiz, which is a 10-point quiz. You have 3 attempts, and I'd like you to try to get at least a 7.0. So you have 3 attempts. I do believe you'll be able to see your answers, and this is just to help you practice and understand the whole ins and outs of source credibility. Then here is a link for our UC English 1001 library guide. And this is from the section 5 of reading and evaluating sources. So this is actually embedded into our course page. I would like you to watch this video. I think it's probably about 3 or 4 minutes long. It's not very long, but it tells you how to evaluate your sources, that kind of thing. There are also 2 PDFs that will helpful. Actually, reading the scholarly article, I have that linked already. But the other one is Anatomy of a Scholarly Article. And I think this one is kind of neat because it tells you, and you can, yeah. So it just tells you the various sections and explains, if you click on it, it will explain a little bit more about how scholarly articles are slapped together. So that's kind of a neat little link. And then there is this section which will actually lead into our own source evaluation worksheet. So I want to explain this a little bit because I don't want you to think, oh, wow, we have 100 quizzes that we have to take. I designed this, it's a worksheet, okay? But instead of you having to download a file and write something out and then upload again and attach and whatever, I thought it would be easier just to have you work within the course page, within Canvas, and input your information. So you can copy and paste things if you are using some kind of a citation generator, or list the title, list the author, the title, the publication date, and the database where you located the source. Include that information in your answer for each of those 5 sources. So these come up as questions. They're not really questions. And then the second part is according to the CRAP test criteria that was presented in your book, and also all the credibility information that I've just kind of bombarded you with. You are asked to discern, would it be a credible source in an academic setting? Explain why or why not. So that goes for each of the questions. So it would be a total of 10 questions, and you get a 1 point for each one that you answer. So this is really a worksheet. It's not a quiz. There are no wrong answers, right? As long as you complete them, that will do the job. So let me see if there's anything. I don't think there's anything else that I need to address as far as the weekly module. However, I do want to show you, this is one last thing, so bear with me. So for some reason, I like to go through Purdue Online Writing Lab, the Purdue OWL website, to get to Citation Machine. But you can access Citation Machine, which is a citation generator, by plugging in citationmachine.net, I think. If I could type correctly. Yeah. So if you go citationmachine.net, and I will place the link up on our Canvas page. The negative is if you don't pay for it, you get all of these fantastic pop-up ads, but then you can choose a website, a book, what have you. So let's see. So if you have a website that you can just copy and paste into there, actually, let me open this. We'll do that. Copy it, paste it in, and then you do search. And then your search result will come up, and you click on Cite, and then you just need to review the information and click on Continue. Sometimes you might need to make some corrections within. And then, let's see, we'll say this is, we'll at least put the year in as 2021. They do update things frequently. And just before you click on, I should have done something else. So yeah, okay. Update citation. So just make sure that MLA 8 is checked, or MLA 9. 8 or 9 is fine. Anything earlier than that will be a little different looking. And then you can copy citation and actually import it, well, place it into your document, and look at that. It's done correctly for you. I don't know if you'll be able to see the you probably won't be able to see the worksheet. Sorry about that. I often forget that if I switch into a different program other than a website while I'm doing these recordings and sharing my screen, that you actually don't see what I'm sharing. So I had to make sure that I could do a new share and make sure that you see what actually was pasted into my Word document. But you'll see here that the citation is done correctly for you. So it's a really handy tool to have. And I'll stop sharing that, stop sharing my screen, and wrap this up because I know it's already pretty too long. So if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to email me. I'm happy to walk you through things and answer any questions that you have. Have a good week, and I look forward to reading about your sources and moving on to the next section of this assignment. Bye.